and welcome to the Pickle Jar. My name's Josh, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a cracked ice base for your miniatures. Pickle Jar! Pickle Jar! Miniatures! Excellent! Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel for another painting tutorial. Just before we get started, I just want to say that if you are enjoying the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and the little notification bell to keep up to date with all the content we've got coming in the future. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a cracked ice base. Now this is a really nice, simple method, and I'm using this for my Necron kill team bases. I wanted something that would stand out from the other armies and things that I've got, so I decided to go with an ice style base. This is because it's nice and bright and white and blue on the base, whereas the Necrons themselves are metallic and red, so it contrasts really nicely. There's a list of all the materials that I'm using in the description down below, and I'll show them on screen as we go along. Without any further ado, let's get cracking. Now, the first thing that we need to do on this base is to add some texture. Now, I'm using Stirland Mud here just to add some texture to one side of the base where I don't want there to be any frozen water. Now, the theme for this sort of base and this kill team is that they are sort of on a frozen world, but I don't want it to be completely cracked ice, which is why I'm putting some of the Stirland Mud on to act as a sort of bankment next to the river or lake or whatever it is that's frozen over. You don't have to use Stirland Mud, you can just use PVA glue and sand or whatever your normal texture mix is. The only reason I'm using Stirland Mud is because I'm just doing this one base now and I don't want to mess about getting all the PVA and sand and stuff out. Once that's on and dry, it's time to get some of the highlighting done on this textured base. So I'm going to take Gorthor brown and give a light dry brush over the top just to pick out some of the raised up areas, and then once that's on, I'm going to do the same thing again with Baneblade brown. Now that the mud area is done, it's time to start working on the ice area. To do this, I'm going to take Lothern blue and I'm going to apply this using a mixture of dry brushing and stippling onto the area that I've not painted with the mud texture. Once this is on and dry, I'm mixing in a little bit of white scar with the Lothern blue to create a lighter blue, and I'm going to apply this closer to the edge of the textured bit we've just put on so that you can see the difference in colour, so that as it gets out and deeper into the lake or pond or whatever it is, the blue gets darker. Depending on the size of base that you're doing, you can add more white to create even lighter layers, or you can start off from a darker blue if you want to have a deeper area at the back. Now we get on to the fun part, the cracked ice effect. For this, I'm going to be using a Distress Crackle paint from Ranger. Now this one that I'm using is called Clear Rock Candy, and I got this a few years ago when I was wanting to do some ice effects for a Frostgrave warband that I was doing. Now when I first bought this, the consistency was quite a lot different. It was a lot thinner and it ran more like a paste, whereas at the moment it's more like a gel. I'm not sure if this is because it's starting to go off, but it still works all the same, so I've had no issues using it. All you need to do is take a spatula or a stick or something, whatever your chosen implement is for things like this, and just apply some of this liberally over the blue area that we've just painted, putting some of it up onto the embankment to show that the ice is spreading up onto the ground. Now this stuff does take a while to dry depending on how thick you put it on. Obviously the thicker you put it on, the longer it takes to dry and the bigger the cracks will be. So apply this, it's good if you're doing a big batch, apply it to all of them, put them to one side and check them the next day. Once you're happy that the Crackle paint is nice and dry and is no longer tacky, it's time to move on to the final steps. What we're going to do now is give a very liberal dry brushing of white over the top. Now you do need to be careful with this, you don't want to go crazy and just completely paint it white, but you do need to put a little bit more on than you would do normally for dry brushing. Best bet is to start small and build up if you're unsure. At this point as well, you can also very lightly apply some of the white dry brushing to the ground area just to sort of lighten that up and give the impression that it's frost travelling up the embankment. Now something that I've been doing recently is adding a nice splash of colour to my bases, and I've been doing this by using these grass tufts from Gamer Grass. Now, I used the red and pink ones on my other Necron, so I decided to use these neon blue ones on the ice bases because it fits in a little bit more with the colour of the bases and it contrasts nicely again against the Necrons. I'm adding a couple of these on just to provide some vegetation on the bank. This is an alien world, so you wouldn't necessarily get green shrubbery and stuff, so that's why I'm going with a nice neon look. Once I'd applied the grass tufts, I decided to put my Necron warrior onto the base so that I could get a nice feel for how the finished piece would look overall. Once he was on and I was happy with how it looked, I decided to add the finishing touches, which is to add some snow. Now, there are absolutely loads of ways to add snow to miniatures bases. I've seen loads and loads of videos on different methods and different products to use, different ways to apply them, and I've always been terrified of adding snow to bases. In fact, it's something that I have never done before. So to dip my toe into this wonderful world of snow in this winter season, I decided to use this from Games Workshop. This is a technical paint called Valhallan Blizzard, and it pretty much goes on as a paste, and for what I'm doing with these warriors for this kill team, I don't think it does too bad a job. All I'm doing is taking it out with the same utensil that I applied the Crackle paint with and just sort of plopping this on as and where I think it needs to go. I don't want to cover up the entirety of the base because I want to be able to see the stuff underneath, but it is helpful in hiding the transition from the ice to the ground where it maybe isn't quite as neat, and then also applying some onto the grass tufts and just onto the ground and the ice around it. All that's left to do is to tidy up the base trim. You guys know that I love to have a nice tidy base trim to finish off a miniature, and there we go. This guy is all ready to join my kill team. So there you go guys, that is how I did my nice ice wintry base. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, and if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all the content we've got coming in the future. If you want to see more of me, I live stream here on the Pickle Jar every Wednesday evening at 8 PM, and I also help host the show over on the Chilling Wargamers channel on Thursdays at 8 PM. If you want to help support the channel, there are links down below in the description for our merch store, as well as a link where you can donate directly to the channel. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.